you have any doubts from NCERT, you can ask that also. Law of or laws of chemical combination. Okay, can I get a quick raise of hands? How many of you are using laptop?
Sir, me.
Okay, so Ikra and Mariam, they are using laptop. Okay, fine. Because while teaching this, I will ask you to search about a few names.
Sir, could you
Search
repeat?
about a
I
few names.
couldn't
Okay.
get you.
I was asking how many of you are using laptop? Are you using laptop, Ikra?
No, sir, I'm using a mobile phone.
You are using mobile. No, that's fine. That's fine. So I will either ask Mariam or Shakir to search a few things in Google, okay? And tell the answer. So laws of chemical combination. Before this laws of chemical combination, the chemistry part, the most interesting thing, what do you think is the, in chemistry, fire was the most interesting thing. I mean, I cannot call it chemistry also because you saw the sun, that was kind of fire. And just imagine a life without fire, and then a lightning just came and it burned the whole tree. So there was moments in which you saw fire, and there was no such procedure to generate fire, man-made fires, right? There was no such procedure to generate man-made fires. Now, I hope you remember those textbook in which you saw hunter-gatherers, they are striking 2 stones, right? To make fire.
Yes, sir.
Right? Now, when you fired something, and there was most importantly, wood was the most common thing that caught fire because they saw that striking, it burnt up the tree. So obviously they were using wood. Now in that time also there would be some experiments, like when it just rained, they picked up some wood and they tried to burn it, so it didn't burn. Then they saw that, okay, fine. Because what this would have saw first, it was raining, thunderstorm, and then it caught fire. So they must have thought that, okay, fine, when it is raining, then we should burn it, right? So then it didn't burn. So after that, there must be one guy, right, who would be like, no, I will keep trying until unless it burns. Now, when finally sun came up and the wood which was present, it dried up, then he again struck those 2 stones and it caught fire. Then it would be a kind of eureka moment for all of them. So now they have the man-made fire. This fire was the most interesting part of changing of things, right? Of changing of things. Now, chemistry is also about matter, the study of matter, and I would say it is largely about the change. We study those matters to just predict what would happen if I want to change it. For example, we study hydrogen. Now, when I am studying hydrogen and I'm studying oxygen, I know that when they will combine with each other, they will form water. Now, I know these things without even doing any experiments, and that is science. It's to make falsifiable prediction. Okay, so this is one of the tenets, one of the pillars of science. What is science? If somebody asks, it is to make falsifiable prediction. Now, if you choose any stream and there is a science added to it, then you must ask them. If you have political scientists, they must be also predicting few things which could be falsified. Now, always remember, it should be falsifiable. For example, I am saying that when hydrogen and oxygen, they combine, they make water. There is an experiment, and anyone in the world, they can test it, right? They can test the experiment, and if it is correct, then that is science. Okay, so there should always be something which could be done, which we call as experiment, which could either attest to the theory that we have said, attest to the words that you have said, or it could falsify it. Okay. Now, back to those hunter and gatherers. So they said that when we burn something, what happens? It weights decreases, right? It weights decreases. And when you burn something and when it is burned completely, you cannot burn it again. Correct? right,
Yes.
guys? If you
Yes,
burn a
sir.
wood, you cannot burn it
Yes,
again.
sir.
Now, now there is one word which was used regularly for all the things that would burn. It was said that it contains something called phylogestone. Okay, phylogestone. And when you burnt it, that phylogestone, it vanished. Okay, it just vanished. I mean, you destroyed the element which burned. Okay, which got burned. Now, after, I mean, this alchemy part, I mean, from hunter and gatherers, now back to 18th century. Now, in 18th century, there was a scientist, okay, and his name was Antoine Lavoisier. Okay, so pardon my French. He was French. I don't know whether it should be called Lavoisier or Lavoisier. What it should be called? Any idea?
No, sir. Levels.
Lavoisier. Okay, this was the guy. You do not have to write anything. Okay, this was the guy. Now, can you just write in Google, Shakir and Mariam, Lavoisier net worth? Search this up now. Net worth.
Lavoisier network. Okay.
Net worth. Yeah, you know now what is net worth?
Yes, who doesn't know?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mariam, you got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what is his net worth?
90 billion.
90
Billion.
billion. So pretty rich guy, right? 90 billion is a big amount. I hope you will agree.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So actually, he inherited most of the amount of money from his mother. Okay. At the age of 5, his mother died, and he inherited this much amount of mother. And after that, he married also a very. He married the daughter of a very rich guy, and from that also, I mean, the daughter was, I guess, yeah, what I would say, his father-in-law, yeah, Lavoisier's father-in-law was a tax collector in the French government. Okay, was a tax collector. So Lavoisier also inherited that amount of money. His father was a lawyer, so he also asked him to pursue laws. He was also a lawyer, but his interest was in science and specifically chemistry. But he has also contributed to biology, physics also. And most of the guys that you would learn about in history, they would, I mean, they what we call as polymath. They would be interested in drawing also, not drawing as in amateur drawing, but professional drawing also. Some would be interested in sculptures, and they would be also doing math, physics, chemistry, biology, everything. Okay, so Lavoisier was one of that kind. Now, what is the thing about chemistry is that chemistry is a expensive subject to study, because when you are burning something, when you are doing a few chemical reaction, when you have done the chemical reaction, and at that time you cannot go back to those substances, right? Once you have converted, now going back to those elements or the reactant, that procedure is usually expensive. So most of the reagents and all, it gets destroyed. Now, only because Lavoisier was so rich, he was able to get the equipments, right? Equipments and chemicals. Okay, equipments and chemicals. Now, everyone said that when you burn something, so let us say you have this log of wire, log of wood, and you burn it. So let me just say this is burning. Okay, this is burning now. Now, everyone said that the phylogestine which is present, it went away when it is burning. Now, what did Anthony Lavoisier did? He said that, no, it doesn't happen like this. If you burn something and keep it in a closed vessel, keep it in a closed vessel, whatever. Okay, so what is happening now? I need to select this pen. Yeah, it is selected. Okay. I hate this sometimes. Okay. Now it is burning under a closed container. So he said that if you burn it in the closed container, the weight of whatever amount is present will be constant. Okay, will be constant. That means you cannot destroy. Okay, no, you will tell me. What can be concluded from this statement? If I burn something inside a closed container, the mass before burning and the mass after burning inside the container will be same. What can you say? Which law is this?
Conservation of mass.
Law of conservation of mass.
Yeah, conservation of mass. Okay, this is laws of. Okay. So this was given by Antoine Lavoisier, French rich guy. Okay, Antoine. Now just imagine. So wealth is very much important, and most of the scientists, they say that this point at the point when Antoine Lavoisier he said that in a chemical reaction, the total mass of the reactant is equal to the total mass of product. That means you can neither destroy, neither you can create substance or matter. That was the point from which alchemy became chemistry.
Means, sir,
Okay. Alchemy.
Olden time it was alchemy.
Sorry.
Means in olden times it was called alchemy. Chemistry it was called alchemy.
No. Yeah, chemistry. No. Chemistry was not called alchemy. Chemistry is a subject of science, and alchemy is, as you can say, something profession, or I mean, if it has anything to do with matter, then it is alchemy. Okay, then it is alchemy. Those who studied the change of matter at that time, they were called alchemy. But chemistry is a branch of science. Okay. Now, what is science? Science is to make falsifiable predictions. But it is not true for alchemy. Alchemy will be like magic shows in which you will have a water-looking substance. It is changing colors to all the rainbow colors. Now you can see that type of magic shows was alchemy. Okay, it was not based on science exactly. It was not based on measurements and not like careful measurements and careful thing. It was not based upon that. It was just based upon experiments. If someone did this, the others tried this, and a new thing was born. Okay, so you can see that from alchemy, the chemistry was extracted from alchemy. The science part of alchemy was taken. It was called chemistry. Okay, and at that point, alchemy became chemistry. You don't have to write any of these things. What you have to write is just the law of conservation of mass. So please write the first law of conservation of mass. What does it say? In a chemical reaction, the total mass of reactant is equal to the total mass of products. Okay. Now this was given by, we will write the name. Okay, we will write the name. Antoine Lavoisier. Let me know if you're done.
Done.
Sir, what?
Yes, Shakir, I'm waiting for you.
Done, sir.
Okay, waiting for Shakir just now. Also, see, Lavoisier was also responsible for naming hydrogen and oxygen. So hydrogen, it was from because it came from water. Water is hydro, and hydrogenated, that is hydrogen.
Sir, the
Shakir, you're done?
yes.
Okay. Now, the next guy that we have to learn about is known as Proust. So I don't remember whether his nationality, but he was not a very rich guy. And his contribution was also not very huge. As of now, it is not very used, but at that time it was huge. I guess because his name is Joseph, yeah, Joseph Proust, I guess. So I guess he is also French. Look at it, okay?
Yes, sir. He's
Joseph
French.
Yes, sir.
is French.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Joseph Proust. Now, what he said was, so whenever hydrogen is joined by oxygen, then for each molecule of oxygen there are two hydrogen. When carbon joins oxygen, for each molecule of carbon, and there is two oxygen atoms. Okay. Now he said that whenever that in a given compound, now the main thing was that, let us say we take hydrogen of Lavoisier's, Anthony Lavoisier's laboratory, and we took from Joseph Proust, we took hydrogen. Okay, we took hydrogen. Now please remember that they didn't have any idea about the elements and atoms, right? They didn't know anything about elements and atoms. For example, what is hydrogen? Hydrogen is anything. Hydrogen is anything. When reacted with what? When reacted with oxygen, it would give water. Okay. So this was hydrogen and this was hydrogen. Now, when both of these hydrogen were made to react with oxygen, whether it was from Lavoisier, it would give what? Whether it was from Proust, it would also be H2O. Now from this, he called a law of definite proportion. And now he gave a law. It was not called definite proportion at that time. At that time, it was known as Proust's law, but later it was known as law of definite proportions. Now, it states that in a given compound, the elements that we have now in a given compound, the elements have exactly the same proportions by weight. Same proportions by weight. Second one is law of definite proportions. What it says that it says in a given compound,
Sorry, what do you want to write in the second point of law of conservation of mass given by?
you will write now, but given by whom?
Okay.
Which scientist?
Okay.
Yeah. In a given compound, the elements given compound, the element always the elements are always, right? Are always in exactly the same proportions by weight. Okay, by weight. So no matter from where you would get the water, you will get the water. If you have hydrogen H2O, in this hydrogen, if you take the mass of hydrogen, it will be how much? The mass of hydrogen will be 2, right? 2 and divided by 18. That would make how much percentage? 2 by 18. 2 by 18, it will be 1 by 9. 1 by 9 will make how much percentage? Around 11%. Okay, that is approximately. Then I should write 11.11% of hydrogen is present. Now, if I write For oxygen, it will be how much? Oxygen is 16 by 18. This will be approximately how much? If we must subtract this will be 80. %89 of oxygen. Now this was given by Proust, Joseph Proust. Okay, let me know if you're done.
So I will write only the percentages, okay?
Done?
Sorry.
You write in a very wrong way, Shakir.
What's that?
You
Sir.
look up for each word. That is not right. You should read one sentence, write one sentence.
Done. I finished, but when you started writing the hydrogen's proportion, then I stopped there. So I finished writing.
Okay. Now, after Proust has given this law of definite proportions, Dalton was working on combustion again. He was also working on combustion, and he saw that it is not very true. Like what the definite proportions he has given, it is not very true. He saw that, for example, if I have 1 gram of carbon, I have 1 gram of carbon, and I take 1.33 grams of oxygen, then what I get is a carbon dioxide. Okay, what I get is carbon dioxide. Now, if I take for each gram of carbon, I take, now this is for each gram of carbon. For each gram of carbon, I took just the double of it. Okay, sorry. Now, first you got carbon monoxide, 1.33, and if you take 2.68 grams of oxygen, you got CO2. Okay, but this was not only an exception for carbon. Similar things were found when John Dalton, now Dalton was English. Dalton was from England. Now he saw that if I take one for each gram of nitrogen, if I take 1.750 grams of oxygen, I got an oxide which is NO2. But for each gram of nitrogen, if I took just the half of it, that is 0.875 gram of oxygen, I got an oxide which was NO. If I took one for each gram of nitrogen, just the half of this would be 4375, right? 4375, I guess, gram of oxygen. You would get another oxide which is known as N2O. There are some more oxides of nitrogen that you will learn in your first hand. You don't have to learn these also, but this was just the experimental result that John Dalton got. Now, from these results, what can you say? We can say that the elements, when two or more elements, they are combining, with a fixed mass of one element. Now, oxygen, these are two oxygen, these are combining with 1 gram of carbon each, right? Now, they will add up. Now, whatever grams of oxygen you took, they should always be in some whole number ratio to get any product. Okay, so from there he found the law of multiple proportion, which states that when two elements combine together to form two or more than two compounds, when two elements they combine to form two compounds or more than two compounds, then what happens? Then the masses, if the masses of one of the compound is fixed, carbon masses are fixed. The other compound, for example, here oxygen, their masses will have some whole number ratio. So please listen to it once again. When you have two elements, for example, carbon and oxygen. Now, when these two elements, they are forming two compounds or more than two compounds, when carbon is forming carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide, or when nitrogen is forming nitrogen dioxide, nitrogen monoxide, or dinitrogen oxide, then we can say that these two elements, carbon and oxygen, these are forming two compounds. Now, if we take this element and this mass is fixed, then the other element's mass should have some whole number ratio, right? So the whole number ratio here is 2. If we see here, this is double of this is double of this, right? So that was the law of multiple proportions. So please write this law. Law of multiple proportions.
Can you just go up? I won't write the last three.
You don't have to write these things.
Do I have to write?
No, don't have to write. I will tell you to write. Whenever I give time, no, that you have to write. Now, when I'm saying this, write this with me. Then you have to write. So when two elements combine together form two or more compounds. Now, from till here, you will remember those two elements are carbon and oxygen. Now, when two elements, carbon and oxygen, they combine together to form two or more compounds. So when carbon and oxygen, they combine, they can form two compounds. They can either form carbon monoxide or they can form carbon dioxide. So what happens then? Then masses of one of the element, then the masses of one of the element combines with fixed mass of another element, Now, please remember here, when two elements, what are these two elements? Carbon and oxygen. They combine to form two or more compounds. What are these compounds? Carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. Then the masses of one of the element. Which one of the element? Oxygen. Combines with fixed mass of another element. Which is that element? Another element? Carbon. In simple
whole number ratio.
Yeah, whole number ratio. Okay, simple whole number ratio. And always see here there are masses. Okay, now this only would have told you, I mean, this thing, the masses, they have said masses and not moles. Neither they have said molecules, neither they have said atoms. So whatever those guys were dealing with, it was just the mass of these atoms or elements or molecules. Now let me know when you are done. And this was given by John Dalton. Okay, all of you are done. Now you can lower your hands. Okay, now you can lower your hands. Now this was another guy. He was also from France, I guess, by his name. His name was Joseph Louis Louis. Now, whenever you say this name, na, Louis, this is generally French. This is, I mean, a French name. Also, Joseph. What I have seen, this is to completely French. Whenever I see Louis, I know it is French. So this guy's name was Joseph Louis Gay-Lussac. Gay-Lussac. Joseph Louis Gay-Lussac, who was also from France. Now, he saw another phenomena which is happening. What he did was he didn't measure the mass. He didn't weigh them. He measured the volume. Now, when he measured the volume, he saw that if I take hydrogen and I take oxygen. Now, why I'm writing hydrogen and oxygen and not H2 and O2 here? Because at that time, Gay-Lussac also didn't know that hydrogen is H2. Now, what is hydrogen? Hydrogen is anything which reacts with oxygen and they give water. Okay, and they give water. Now, this is all these things are gases now. Water vapors here. This hydrogen is also gas. Now, when all of these are gas, now gas could be in some container. Now, he took 100 ml of hydrogen. He took 50 ml of oxygen. And what he saw was that, 100 ml of water was found. Now, some would have said that this is the violation of law of conservation of mass. Is it a violation of law of conservation of mass? Is it?
No, sir.
Violation of law of conservation?
Oxygen.
No.
Yes or no?
No.
No. Shakir is saying no. What about others?
Sir, because in law of conservation of mass, they are saying that mass neither can be destroyed nor gained nor destroyed.
Neither can be created nor destroyed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ikra and Maria, what do you think? If I take 100 ml of hydrogen and 50 ml of oxygen, the amount of water that I get is 100 ml. So is it violating the law of conservation of mass? Mariam, Ikra, anyone? Somebody said something.
Sir, it says that the mass will be same if it's done in a closed container.
Yeah, this is also done in closed container.
Yes.
Mass will be, I mean, in the closed container in the sense that they did that experiment in closed container, and then they said that mass cannot neither be created nor be destroyed. Obviously, mass cannot be destroyed even if you are doing it in open container. It is just that we are not capturing that mass to measure it. Yeah. Now, what do you think about here? All these, even if I say all these are done in closed container. So is this a violation of law of conservation of mass? You think so, Mariam? It is?
Yes.
Okay. Now see, this is volume, no? This is volume, correct? This is not mass.
Yes.
Yeah, this is not mass. Okay. Now, if I have to convert volume to mass, what can I use? Density is one thing that relates volume to mass. But in chemistry, if we have the gases, there is another thing that connects the mass to volume, which is moles, right? Which is moles.
Yes,
correct.
sir.
Now see, this was the experiment. They didn't know about moles, so I'm not talking about mole right now. Okay, this was the experiment that they did. And I mean, now you can say they measured this and this. And when they add, this is, let us say, mass of hydrogen, this was the mass of oxygen, and this was the mass of water. Okay. So when you added these two masses, it was equal to the mass of water. Okay. No matter that it is the volume must be maybe different, but the mass was same. We added the reactant and product at that time. Now this is also one of the experimental results that came. Now from this, our guy, that is Joseph Gay-Lussac, and he said that I will also give a law, and that law will be related to the volume. Everyone has given till now the laws related to mass. I will give a law. I will give a law which is related to the volume. Now, what law he did? He said, no, this is not a, I mean, it does not have any name. It is named after Gay-Lussac only. So this is which number? This is 4th, right? This is 4th, yeah. This is Gay-Lussac. Lussac is law of gaseous volumes. Gaseous volumes, okay? So one thing is, he said that, see, I will not comment about how much water is found, but I can say that when hydrogen and oxygen, these two gases are mixing, they are mixing in the whole number ratio of their volumes, correct? Yes?
Yes,
Or
sir.
no? Yes. So from this experiment, he said that when, and also see, there is a ratio here also, right? If I say this is 2, this is 1, and this is 2, correct? So when gases combine or are produced in a chemical reaction, now what happens? They do so in simple ratio by volume, okay? By volume at
Sir, what's the topic?
constant. Sorry?
What's the topic?
Gay-Lussac's law of
Law
gaseous volumes. Yeah. Temperature.
Did you write that also? The hydrogen plus oxygen gives water?
No, you don't have to write that. Okay, this was given by Joseph Louis Gay-Lussac. Okay, Mariam is done. Just waiting for Shakir and Ikra. Done, Shakir?
No, sir.
हाँ, एक वर्ड देख के लिखो, तो कहाँ से होगा? Ikra, are you done?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Let me know if you're done. Done?
yes.
Okay. Now, the last law, this was known as Avogadro law because he first proposed it. I mean, but this law was not given by him. He first proposed it in the sense that He said a few things, but it was not recognized, and it was recognized only after 50 years. But the name, the guy's name, and you will now, I think the reason why Avogadro also, Avogadro gave this law, but he didn't give the Avogadro's number. Okay, sorry. He gave this law, but he didn't give the Avogadro's number. But I think why that number was named after him because of his name, that is Lorenzo Romano Amedeo Carlo Avogadro di Querca e di Carreto. Lorenzo Romano Amedeo Carlo Avogadro di Querca e di Carreto. So I hope you guys understand why Avogadro's number was named after Avogadro, right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
a very long name.
Yeah, it is kind of a mock. I mean, I guess scientists were mocking him or something because you have a long name. I will give you, because you have a very big name, we will give you a big number, right? A big number. Now, what he proposed, he said that equal volume of gases at same temperature and pressure should contain equal number of molecules. Okay, what he said? Equal volumes of gases at same temperature and pressure should contain equal number of molecules. Now, this is the point at which the distinction between molecules and atoms, it was almost made. Between atoms and molecules, it was almost made. For example, if I say just hydrogen, it is an atom. If I say H2, this is a molecule, right? At this point, we knew about, we didn't know about electron, protons, those things. But yes, we did know about the molecules and atoms. So electron, proton, this will be coming in chapter 2, that is structure of atom. Okay. So this guy with big name, he gave a very small law. He said that, let me write that. This is fifth, right? This is fifth. Okay, any guess on the, from the name, can you guess which country is he from?
Italy.
Now tell me how by name did you guess that?
French, Greek.
French, Greek. Greece was not there. No, not French. No, not French. Somebody said Italy. That is correct. Who said Italy? Mariam?
Yes, sir.
You remember this or?
No, sir. I just the name. I just guessed.
Okay, yeah, that is correct. See, if you see a lot of O in somebody's name, na? And basically this Carlo. Carlo is, it is a common Italian name, also Romano. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Romano and Carlo, these are common. For example, you have Louis. This is a common French name, and also Joseph is not very common. Louis is for French. Now, why I'm saying all these things is because you don't know CBSE, right? And somewhere at one point of time, they will ask in MCQ, that is term 1 is MCQ. They will ask you, for example, John Dalton was from which country? They can ask this, no? It will not be out of syllabus, right? It won't be out of syllabus. Now, this is a factual question. You won't remember it. And it is very bad feeling when you don't get marks on a very easy question. This question is easy, but this is a factual question. Either you know it or you don't know it. It's not a logical question that if you know a basic principle, then you can arrive at this big thing. That is why just remember the names, and also by names, you can tell the nationality. So Romano Carlo, this is Italian. So Avogadro law, it states that. So good job, Mariam, by recognizing the nationality by the name. Equal volumes of gases at same temperature and pressure equal number of molecules. Okay. Also, this is also a very important point that Avogadro was the first to make distinction between atoms and molecules. Okay. Now, before this, you would not have seen the molecules. I mean, molecules as a word in the previous laws. Only Avogadro gave it. Okay, if Shakir is done, I guess everyone is done. Mariam is also done. Okay. Write a question regarding this. Write a question regarding this. Carbon forms two oxides. One of which contains 42.9% carbon by mass, and another contains 27.3% carbon by mass. Show that each data is in agreement with, or rather write it like this. Each data is in agreement with which law of chemical combination? So please write this question. Let me know if you're done. Are you done?
Done, sir.
Done? Okay. So let us say first oxide or oxide A. Oxide 1 of carbon. Okay, oxide 1 of carbon. So in oxide 1 of carbon, I can say that 49, not 42.9. Please don't write anything. 42.9% of carbon needs how many grams? Sorry, 42.9% of carbon needs how many percentage of oxygen? 57.1% of oxygen. From here, I can see that 42.9 grams of carbon needs 57.1 gram of oxygen. Correct? I mean, it combines with 57.1 gram of oxygen to make oxide 1, the first oxide. Any problem till here?
Sir,
No, sir.
how you give the percentage for oxygen?
If I have 42.9% of carbon in one oxide of carbon, that means there is carbon and oxygen in that molecule only, and the carbon has 42.9% of the mass, and oxygen has 57.1% of the mass. That would mean if I have in 100 grams of that oxide of carbon, 42.9 gram is carbon and 57.1 gram is oxygen. Is that right? Yes, Shakir. If I take 100 gram of that oxide, yeah. So we just take 100 because it is easy to convert from percentage to grams. Now from here I can say that 1 gram of carbon needs 57.1 gram divided by 42.9 gram of oxygen. Is it right? All of you agree with this?
Yes, sir.
So calculate this. How much is this one? 42.9. 57.1.
$1.33.
Yeah, correct. 1.33 grams. Okay. Don't have to do anything else here. You will do this. That's oxide 2. Don't write anything now. Oxide 2. And oxide 2, let me just write it. Carbon is how much? 27.3. And oxygen is how much? Oxygen will be how much? For 3, I can write 7. This will be 10. So I need to add 2 here to get it 10. Now, when 2 here is there, then I have to add how much? Again, 7 here. Right? If carbon is 27.3%, oxygen should be 72.7%, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any doubt? Shakir?
No, sir.
No? Okay, great.
Because it gives total 100.
Yeah, it will give you total 100. So here I can say that 27.3 grams of carbon needs 72.7 gram of oxygen. Correct? And after that, I can also say 1 gram of carbon needs 72.7 gram divided by 27.3 gram. Sorry, 1 gram here because 1 gram is present 27.3 of oxygen. Right? So this will be how much?
$2.66.
2.66, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you just have to look at these masses here, okay? Because we have both of them. We have kept the mass of carbon fixed, 1 gram and 1 gram. And here we are seeing that in one oxide, 1 gram of carbon is combining with 1.33 grams and 1 gram of oxygen is combining with 2.66 grams, right? Now, here we can say the mass of oxygen, the ratio, in which masses of oxygen combine with fixed mass of carbon bears a whole number ratio. So which law it will be? The
Law of multiple proportion.
Yeah, the law is law of multiple proportion.
So can you scroll up?
Yes, sure. Okay, fine. Question number. Are you done with the question?
Yes,
so
sir.
tell me the last point, the ratio in which masses of oxygen combine with fixed mass of carbon bears a whole number.
Ratio.
Just
Whole
like
number ratio.
whole number ratio. Okay.
You have done? Shakir, you are done?
Only last point again remaining, last line.
So you have to write it. I mean, you just read it now. The law is law of multiple proportion. Now you write it. I know you can write that.
Which one, sir?
Right. The law is the last point. The law is,
The law
I'm
is
dictating, right? Law of
law of
multiple proportion. They're
multiple.
asking now which law of chemical combination, the data is in agreement with which law? That law is law of multiple proportion.
Yeah, each data is in agreement with which law of chemical combination. So the
That
last
law is
one,
law of,
the law is law of multiple proportion. Yeah.
yeah, that's it. The last point is that much.
Done, sir.
Can you scroll down?
Yeah, sure. Let me know if you're done, then we will start the MCQs. In MCQs, there will be a few things that obviously it is present in your NCERT textbook, but we have not dealt with it. For example, there is a complete historical aspect of the Indian chemistry, the text, the Indian text that hold chemistry, that some of them are Charaka Samhita, then there is Shushruta Samhita, and some other texts. So we will be reading some questions from them, because obviously if it is present in NCERT, questions can come from there also. Okay. So that is completely descriptive. For example, Charaka Samhita, it generally contains things about acids and cures of different diseases. So I will be giving some questions from there. Shakir, you are done, na?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Please read the question first. What are basic constituents of?
What are basic constituents?
Question number 1. Yeah, MCQs. These are MCQs.
Okay.
Multiple choice. What are the basic constituents of
Okay.
matter? Atoms, molecules, ions. The option is A and B.
D, A and B.
Okay. Ikra, was that you or Mariam?
It was me, Ikra, sir.
Ikra. Yeah, D is the correct answer. That it is atoms and molecules both. Okay. So if I say basic constituent of matter, then some people may have just written atom because all of things, everything is made up of atom, but that is not true. If I say basic constituent, for example, I have salt. If I break it down to the level, smallest level, I will get NaCl. Now, if I further break it down, I will get Na and chlorine, or rather Na plus and Cl negative. Now, independently, neither this sodium is a salt, neither this chlorine is a salt, right? Similarly, if I have water, and I keep breaking it down, so if I get H2O, then still it is water. But if I break it down furthermore, I will get hydrogen, I will get oxygen. Now these are not water. Neither hydrogen is water, neither oxygen is water. H2O is a water, which is a molecule. Okay, so atoms will not be the right answer. And obviously now you understand why atom is not the right answer. So if you have any teacher and they ask what are basic constituent of matter, and if you take on atoms and molecules, but still they make it wrong, then you will have an argument with them, and then you will tell the logic why you put atoms and molecules both. Okay, so if I'm saying matter, so hydrogen is not a matter. Okay, if I say just this hydrogen, it is not a matter. Helium, yeah, helium is a matter because even one atom of helium is helium. Now it has independent existence, but hydrogen as one specific atom of hydrogen, it does not exist. What is a matter which can have some space? No? So only H2 can have some space. Okay. Now going to the next question. Simple questions. Okay. These are from the starting of your textbook. Question 2, which of the following? The chemical change. Conversion of ice to water. Boiling of water to gas. Casting of silver. Casting of iron. Give me answer in the chat. Okay, don't say it out loud. Give me answer in the chat. Yeah, Chris. Yeah, Ikra and Mariam are correct. C. Shakiri will tell me what are the physical state of water. How many physical states? Yes, Shakir, how many physical states are there of water? Water can be present in what physical state? Yes, 3?
2.
2? There is ice.
Ah, yeah.
That is solid.
In the state, yeah. Ice, solid,
Yes.
and water, liquid, and gas.
Vapor is water, vapor is gas. Yeah. So these are what? These are
Physical state.
Physical state, na?
Yes.
So, and the conversion between two physical state is a physical change, not a chemical change,
Yes. Yes.
right? We are not changing
I
the
sent you the
chemistry.
answer again, sir.
Yeah. Now, casting of silver. Now, casting of silver maybe if you are just putting silver on something. For example, I don't know whether you have had or not Kaju Barfi. Have you ever had Kaju Barfi? Kaju Katli, we say it.
Yes, sir.
Is it sweet?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
sweet.
Okay.
It has silver foil, na?
Yes, sir.
So you are just casting that. So casting maybe is something very, I mean, a high-tech word for that, but still, it is casting of silver. If you are casting silver on any surface, it is just that chandi ka parat, hai na? So that is casting of silver. It is not all. It is also not not changing chemistry. We are just joining two things physically. Rusting of iron is the right answer. It is a chemical change. In rusting of iron is oxidized, right? Iron is oxidized.
Yes.
Rusting of iron is the right answer. Okay. All right, the next question. Answer in the chat, please. Nice try, Mariam. Okay, everyone is just asking me questions. Okay. Let me see. Shakir has not answered.
Sir,
Yes, Shakir.
okay. Yes, sir. Yeah. There's no objection, sir.
Yes, now Shakir is correct. See, the only difference between alchemy and chemistry, yeah, Mariam is also correct now. Alchemy and chemistry is that alchemy is a philosophy. Okay. Philosophy and chemistry is a science. Okay. So if I say science of changing substance in the study of science of changing substance into one and another form, it is known as chemistry. But the philosophy of that is known as alchemy. Okay. The philosophy of it will be known as alchemy. And does that mean chemistry does not have philosophy? No, chemistry also have some philosophy, but it is not the philosophy of changing substances. Okay. Now, even if you think about it and if you study maths in higher standards, you will understand that math has emerged from philosophy and logic. Logic and philosophy were the first, I mean, the seeds of knowledge. And there is one field in philosophy which is known as epistemology. Epistemology is the study of knowledge. So how knowledge is gained, what is knowledge? So they define those things. If I say a thing which is 2, what is 2? Is 2 a quantity, or it is just an abstract idea? When I say 2, there is nothing in the universe as 2 as a matter, right? It is not some physical thing. It is just in our heads, right? It is just in our heads. So those type of things are dealt in the field which is known as epistemology, the philosophy of knowledge. Okay. Now this will be question number
4.
4. This is Charaka Samhita. Is the oldest
So
book.
what's it? The first word?
Charaka Samhita. Charaka Samhita
Okay.
is the oldest book of Ayurveda in India. There are only 2 options: true or false. Right. True.
So these questions are in our NCERT book or?
No, these questions are not in NCERT book. These questions, okay. These questions, and the questions are not there, but these are from the NCERT text, okay, not the exercises. There's a complete 1 page around in which they have dealt with the history of chemistry in India, rather the history of alchemy in India. Okay, and from there also, if it is present in NCERT, they can ask question. You cannot see it as out of the syllabus. Question number 5. A dash is made up of 2 or more pure substances. The molecule, atom, element. This is important, any ratio.
We should send you in chat.
Yes, send in chat, no, always send in chat. The answer here is A, okay? Mixture.
Yes.
When 2 or more atoms of different elements combine, with each other, in a fixed ratio, then we form a dash. Yes, Ikra, correct.
So,
Correct, Mariam. Yes, Shakir, correct. Done, Shakir?
then
Have you written it? Okay.
Yeah.
So be question number 7.
Okay.
Waiting for Ikra. Ikra hasn't answered. Yes. Shakir, not C.
No,
Only
sir,
chemical
sorry.
method.
Yes.
Yeah, only chemical method. Okay. Read the next question. Has answered, waiting for others. Mariam and Shakir. As you can see, I'm just asking the theoretical questions here, okay? Shakir also. I will not ask any numerical ones here.
Okay, sir.
You will not
Because
ask
we have
questions?
done enough. Okay, sorry?
You will not ask question?
Numerical questions in which you have to do some calculations. I won't ask them.
Okay.
I will just ask these theoretical questions. Okay. Okay.
Cancel this answer.
Now, Mariam, can you please answer me? Can you see the intensity just by physical eyes? Can you see that?
No, sir.
No? Are you use your phone all the time? You lower the brightness, then you
Oh,
increase the
yes, sir.
brightness. If you lower the brightness, the intensity decreases. If you increase the brightness, then what happens? Then it increases. The intensity of light coming from your screen increases, right? Intensity we can see. I mean, it can be detected by the physical eye. But composition, for example, if I give you what is present here, for example, your phone, just by looking at it, can you tell what compound it is made up of? Just by looking at it?
No, sir.
No. What about density? If you have, let us say, one handful of iron filings, okay? Handful of iron filings, it is iron. And then you have cotton. Now, if you just weigh them, then you will understand whose density is higher, correct?
Yes, sir.
Volume you can see. What about color? Color, so obviously you can see from the physical eyes, right? So this composition is a chemical property, and all of these are physical property. Okay, all of these are physical property. There is one more thing that you should remember regarding the properties. Question number 9, na? Or 10?
9.
Question number 9. You won't know the answer. If you know it, then it is great. Yeah, luminous intensity, it is candela. Do you watch football, Shakir?
Yes, sir, I'm watching football.
You don't watch or you watch? You
I'm
didn't
watching.
get that.
I'm watching.
You watch?
Yeah.
Okay. Who is your favorite, Ronaldo or Messi?
Sir Ronaldo. But unfortunately, when he left
Ronaldo.
Madrid, I felt sad.
Okay. So, what about the girls, Mariam and Ikra? Are you into football?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No? Okay, fine. Now, if Shakir is a true fan of Ronaldo, then he can answer this question.
So this question number 10, yeah?
Yes, sir. Yes, Shakir. What will be the answer?
Sir, 7?
Yes, 7. That is correct. So the 7 fundamental quantities which are given the SI unit, these are length,
Length, time,
time,
Mass, electrical
mass,
current,
yeah,
temperature.
electrical current,
and there is also
Temperature.
temperature.
Amount of
Yeah.
substance.
Amount of
Yeah.
substance.
Luminous intensity.
Luminous
Yeah.
intensity, yes. Luminous
You must have read this in physics also, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we took it, sir.
Length is given by L, T is given by T, mass is given by mass, electricity is given by I, temperature is
I.
given by
K.
capital
K.
T. Yeah.
Oh.
Temperature is given by capital T, na? Right?
Oh, yes,
Temperature
yes,
is equal. Yeah. It is. I'm not writing the unit here. I'm just giving you things. Amount of substance by N, right? And then luminous intensity is given by I and V. So, what is the symbol of SI unit of amount of substance? Answer it without any options. Yes, Dikra. This is also important. Okay. If you are given the this Mariam is also right. If you are given the okay, so you will be given like this, or maybe sometime you will be given options something like this. Let me erase this. Let me write mole here. All of the above. Now, if you see mole, Na, mole, and all of the above, then all of the above seems right answer because mole, Na, and mole, all of these are same things, right?
Yes, yes.
And Shakir is also saying no. They have asked for the symbol. They have asked what is the symbol of SI unit of amount of substance. So the SI unit of amount of substance is mole, but its symbol is what? Its symbol is MOL, just that. For example,
Yes.
SI unit of temperature is equal to
Kelvin.
Kelvin, okay? But its symbol is equal to K, okay? But its symbol is K. So please read the question properly.
Okay.
Are you done, Shakir?
Done, sir.
Done, sir.
Done. Okay, can I also give you for scientific notation and significant figures?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Measurement accuracy, precision, accuracy and precision. Do you, okay, you guys know the difference between accuracy and precision?
Sir, can you
Yes,
just
sir.
sir, I don't know.
Okay. So what I will do is you will tell me what this is. Okay, I'm making a thing here. Just wait a second. Okay, I have a circle here. Okay. Then let me. Okay, no. This is black only. Okay. Then I will take the red one. I will increase the width, and then I will take this and I will draw. I will take again this and I will draw. And there is an archer who is hitting this bullseye, right? We call this bullseye, na? Or what do we call this? You have to aim it. So we call this bullseye, right? And there is one just here. So there is a player A and there is a player B. And there is a player C. Now player A has hit these spots. Can you see this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Player B has hit these spots. Okay, player B has hit these spots. And let me see, wait a second. Now, player C, they have hit these spots. Okay. Now, player A is precise but not accurate. Player B is accurate but not precise. Player C is both accurate and precise. Now, Shakir, you understand between the difference between these two terms, accurate and precise?
No, sir.
No, still not?
Yes.
Still you don't understand?
Sir, because I don't know what is the meaning of accurate and precise.
Sorry?
What's the meaning of accurate and meaning of precise?
No, I will not tell you the meaning. I'm telling you the scenarios. Now, when you are precise, you are all your hits, they are close, right? But they are not accurate. They are not in the center. That is, they are not hitting the right target. Okay.
Okay.
Player A, they have, right? But when it is accurate, as you can see, it is accurate, but one of them, they have hit it here and the other is here. So the distance between these two are very far. That means he is not precise. Correct? He is not precise. The player B is not precise. And if you see the player C, all of his hits, they are accurate also. That means they are hitting the right target. And they are also very close enough. I mean, the distance between two hits is not very high here. So C is both accurate and it is precise. But B, it is only accurate, but it is not precise. A is precise. All his hits are in a very small area. So the area of hit for A is this much. Use some different color here. For B, as you can see, and C has hit it accurately and precise. Correct?
Oh, yes, yes.
Got it? Now,
Yes.
in context of chemistry and physics, in context of science, accuracy and precision, these are used for measurements, right? These are used for measurements. So there is one thing which is known as true measurement. Okay, what is true measurement? If you hit the bullseye, if you hit the right target, that is a true measurement. Okay, for example, there is a sample whose weight is 2 grams. I know the teacher knows that it is How much? 2 grams. And then you are asked to weigh it, not in the electrical balance, but there is in the physical, that balance we have, no, not the electrical one. The, what do we call it? Analog. Yeah, analog one, mechanical one. And then you have to measure it. And you measure it something like this. You get, sometimes you get the answer 1.66 gram, 1.67 grams, 1.65 grams. Okay. And there is A. This is the case of A because it is very different from the right answer, but all the answers are close. Person B, it gets 2.05. Sometimes he gets 1.95. Sometimes he gets, let us say, 2.07. So all these are very close. All these are very close, right? But these are not precise. For example, 0.95 to 0.95, 1.95 to 2.07. These are very far apart. Now, there is someone C whose measurements are 1.99, 1.98, 2.01 grams. So this is precise T, but not accurate. This is accurate, but not precise. And C is A and P both. Okay. What about Mariam and Ikra? Do you have a bit of more clarity and accuracy and preciseness?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you want to copy this, then please copy this. Okay. If you want to copy this bullseye method, then please copy it. So let us do a last question. Okay. Time is almost up. I will leave you before a bit. Are you done?
Yes.
Raise your hand if you're done. Okay. What about Ikra, Mariam?
Not yet, sir. Just a minute.
Okay. Okay. Just tell me when you're done. So whenever you are in doubt or something, then see, please use Google. You have internet with you, please use it. Whenever you are having some difficulty in understanding these type of definition, Google, for example, visual definition of accuracy and precision. Okay, visual definition. In that, you will not get everything in words. You will get some visual representation. And obviously, now what happens whenever I say this word, that is Google, then my phone blinks up. And I just get scared if someone is calling, then I have to tell them and be rude that I'm teaching right now. I cannot pick up, but it is that assistant of GOOGL. So GOOGL has become the new Voldemort. I cannot take its name while the class. So true measurement. Now please write a question. Did you understand what opens up? Or you didn't get it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What opens up? If I say that word GOOGL in the
Google
class,
Assistant.
no, don't say it loudly. No, it does not recognize your voice, I guess. Yeah, write this question. The closeness of different measurements for the same quantity. So this is the closeness of different measurements. Now, when we say the closeness of different measurement, we are not relating it to the true measurement. Okay, we are just seeing the difference between those measurements, the closeness. I mean, how close they are of different measurement for same quantity. is referred by A, accuracy, B, precision, C, analysis, D, error. Yes, Mariam, correct. Okay, Ikra, your answer is for 12th, I guess, no?
Yes, sir. I didn't answer
Okay.
the 13.
Yes, what happened? Shakir, I'm not getting any answers.
Sir, wait, please. Okay. Correct, sir?
Guys, come here. No. Ikra, first you will tell me. Let me just remove these parts. Okay. And let me get this red again, get this, and also the circle. I'll make this once again. I cannot get it in center. Yeah. Ikra, tell me if this is precise or not. Is this precise or accurate?
Precise?
This is precise. Okay. So when we are looking at the preciseness, then I am not looking at the true value. Na? I'm looking at the different measurements.
Yes, sir.
Only. And if they are close enough, then it is precise. Na? Right?
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes.
you want to change the answer? The closeness of different measurements. So if those different measurements are close for the same quantity, then it is precise. And the closeness of different measurement to the true value, then we are measuring the accuracy. Shakir,
Yes, sir. Understood.
also, did you get it now, Shakir?
Yes, sir, yes.
Okay. So please remember, if you know preciseness, accuracy, you will always see. If it's something is accurate, that means it is the right answer. If it is the right answer, that means it is bullseye. That means we are measuring it. We are comparing it with the true value. When we are thinking about precision, then we are thinking about the different measurements that we are taking. We are not thinking about the true value. Yes, Shakir, you want to say something?
For the closeness of true value, you give the both A and B.
A and B
For the
for the
closeness of the true value.
no. See, this is precise only because all the close value, all the different measurements, they are close. It is precise. Why? Not because it is inside bullseye. It is precise because all of the measurements are very close, or all of the heads are very close. It is accurate because all of the measurements, or all of the hits, they are bullseye. Okay, so it is accuracy has to do with the target.
Okay.
Preciseness has nothing to do with the target. Okay, it has nothing to do with the target. Okay, so that's it for today. Okay, in the next class, we will learn about what second chapter, that is structure of atom. Okay, guys.
Okay. So can you go last question? I want to write. I'm about to finish.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay.
So I found it difficult while answering assertion reasoning questions.
Assertion reasoning.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then we will do. Okay, we will do few questions tomorrow. Not tomorrow. The next class, that means, on assertion and reason, and after that we will start the structure of atom. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
If you have specific questions now, then please send to Nishkar sir, and then he will forward it to me. But do it today only. Okay. After the class, can you do it after the class, Ikra?
I don't have any questions, sir.
Okay, you don't have any. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Then assertion reason. Yeah, sure. Assertion reason, then we can do. Okay.
So I was also want to talk to you about it.
Sorry?
I'm saying I was also wanted to talk to you about the assertion and the reasons.
Assertion and reason questions. Okay, fine. Then the next class we will start with assertion and reason questions, and then we will